Greetings of the day, everyone. Hope you all are safe and doing well. Thank you for enrolling. Excel in Excel welcomes you all to EIE Fresh Talk. Excel in Excel started since 2010 as an edutech firm and over time expanded into data analytics. We strongly believe that for a world driven by data, information is power and excellence is a brand. Excel in Excel presents the popular talk show EIE Fresh Talk on its YouTube channel, wherein it hosts great leaders and subject matter experts in various fields from India and abroad to speak regularly on a variety of topics ranging from Excel to analytics and finance to financial modeling and many more. Few of our past events are best practices in financial modeling. I'm sorry. Best practices in financial modeling by Ms. Daniel, 5 must-have charts in any finance person's toolbox by Mr. Chandu, best practice 5 must-have charts in any finance person's toolbox by Mr. Chandu, spreadsheets, a forensic by C.A. Saran Kumar, 7 Excel features pros use to be more efficient by Mr. Sumit Bansal. Few of our upcoming events are Design Your Professional Service Business for Acceleration by CA Amit P. Nahar on 28th June, followed by Modeling a Franchise Business Opportunity by CA Sandeep Kothari on 4th July. The next session is on Managing Business Continuity and Finance During Uncertain Times by CA Shweta Kochar on 5th July. Coming to our today's session, which is on the topic Maximizing Business Potential by Miss Sangeeta Sumesh. Miss Sangeeta is on a mission to serve by educating, empowering, and elevating businesses. She works with entrepreneurs, leaders, and team on financial growth and high performance. She brings along rich corporate experience of 25 years and including leadership positions with multinationals across geographies. Sangeeta is a chartered accountant and management accountant and has completed an executive education program from Harvard Business School. She is a professional speaker, high performance business coach credentialed from International Coaching Federation, author of the bestseller What the Finance, a glance at uncommon and the power of high performance coaching. Sangeeta is a keynote speaker at many national and international events, various forums, multinational on business finance, high performance and leadership. She believes in value creation for her clients. We welcome you, ma'am. Before we get into the session, I request all the participants to join us in welcoming the speaker by typing hi in the chat section. For any queries or comments, use the chat section, which we will then later use the questions to address the speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you very much thank you so much for the introduction. And it's a pleasure to be here online and addressing everybody. So I'm just turning on my share screen option. Just give me a moment, please. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen. Okay, and is it possible to flash the two screens, both me as well as the PPT?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right, okay, it's great. So very good morning, everybody, and I would have loved to meet you all in person, but due to the current scenario, we'll have to just meet online and see what best can be done during these challenging times. So I know that many businesses are struggling given the current scenario. So what best can be done by each business is what I thought it'll be worth exploring in today's session and see what sort of outcomes we'll be able to create and what sort of takeaways you will have at the end of the session so that your business is able to thrive in the current scenario. So this is the objective with which I thought I'd prepare, because I'm a gain enabler, so I like enabling gains for everybody around, both be it financial gains or non-financial gains. So I do this as a high performance business coach, an author, as well as a speaker. So let's see what we can together create today. And I'd love that you all interact as much as possible today, so that it's more lively and I'm able to get a lot of energy from out of you guys, right? So with that, welcome to all of you. Let's deep dive right away. So what are we exactly looking at today is, I thought I'll call them as ABCD. So A is to see how we can adopt a growth mindset. These are like challenging times. So despite these challenges, what can be done to adopt a growth mindset? Because I think a lot of it is, right here in our heads, the way we perceive and then the way how we need to overcome. So if it'll be great if we are able to adopt the growth mindset and, look at things in a positive manner. And then we'll also have to see it's, how to build teams during these crises, because we know together is when we can. Team, as they say, is together everyone achieves more. So we'll have to see how we can go around building teams. And then C is to see how we can churn the business wheel so that the most out of the business is coming through. And D, of course, to see how we can design the action plan. So these are the four things that we are going to be talking about today. So the growth mindset, how we're going to build teams, how we're going to churn the business wheel, and to see how you can design the action plan is the agenda for today. So with that, let me, before I deep dive, let me kind of try and set the context to today's talk. So like we know, these are like, different times, very different. None of us have even experienced about it. But having said that, I'm a high performance business coach. So before we even look at what is there in today's session, what exactly is high performance, right? High performance, I would define it as achieving superior results by performing at superior standards as per set targets. So all of us, be it our individual self or our business, we all have unlimited potential is what I believe. And for us to realize that potential, tap into it and perform, that's when I think the best in you or the best in your business is going to come about. So considering the given situation, the challenges, the criteria that you may have, how exactly we would be able to maximize your potential, your business's potential, and achieve high performance is what I want to talk about. So as I said, high performance is as per set targets. So what exactly are the targets that you are setting for yourself and your business? That's something we need to check. So today is, of course, the International MSME Day, and I suppose most of the audience are from the MSME segment. So I'm going to be talking a lot in the context for the entrepreneurs and the MSMEs, and of course, the business heads who are around. So I thought I'll set the context for this session today. We all have always been know the VUCA word, which is nothing but the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous word. But I would go a step ahead and say it's not just VUCA, but it's VUCARD, because the R stands for the riskiness, because anything and everything that you do is risky, and D is the disruption, because there's so many disruptions that are going on. I mean, of course, even be it few years ago or even in the current times, there are so many disruptions that happen. So considering all this, which is volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity, the ambiguity, the riskiness, and the disruption, what can you do in your business, right? So that you're able to overcome these things and be successful in your business. Now, that should be the aim and the mission of your business. So there are challenges. It's not that there have never been challenges. Now, if you were to look at the past, there have been pandemics, there have been recession, there has been economic slowdown, so many things. We even had the Y2K, for instance, right? And yet, despite all that, so many businesses have managed, they have survived so well, they have succeeded, and they have grown over the years. So how can your business be that way, right? So despite these challenges, probably even before all this crisis, I'm sure your businesses faced many different sorts of challenges, many different crises in, that is probably more relevant to your industry or to your business. But despite all that, you have managed to tide across and, swim across it and be emerge successfully as a winner. So what are the lessons that can be learned, be it from your past, your industry's past, or from the many years ago? How are you tapping into the collective wisdom, right? So that is important. So if you probably even take a moment to reflect and pause on these things, there are probably some hidden gems lying there. So this is just to kind of nudge you and see what can be done about it, right? So instead of kind of panicking and saying, oh no, my business is not doing well, everything is lull, it's gloomy, it's depressing, instead of focusing there, if you were to focus and see what sort of solutions are available, what sort of remedies are there in this, and maybe if you even refer to the past, there are possibilities that some hidden gems may be available. So as a high performance business coach, I thought it would be good for me to nudge you to think on these lines, right? So when you get the time, at the earliest possible, so just look through and reflect on these. So let's now start looking at, we told the A stands for to adopt the growth mindset. So like you probably know, there are two sort of mindsets is what I would say. One is, of course, the fixed mindset, right? And that leads to a desire just to look smart, right? And the other is the growth mindset, wherein you lead to a desire to learn. You want to grow more, as the name says, how exactly are you growing? Is it just being fixed in your particular mindset, or do you want to grow and evolve, right? So what exactly is the difference between these two? In a fixed mindset, if there are any challenges, you want to avoid it, right? Whereas in a growth mindset, if you have challenges, you want to embrace it. Now, let me pause here and tell you a little story. This is about two people in similar businesses, similar competing businesses, and they were, in the same vicinity. And of course, the pandemic struck, the lockdown happened and everything. So one of the business owners, he said, I don't see much growth happening. There's too much of challenges, too much of threat, and, because of the spread, the virus and everything. And I don't think the business will do well. I'm not going to be getting customers. I'm having huge overheads, and, the cost of living is high. And therefore, he decided he wants to move back to his village. And, he thought he will close the business for, some time and then come back to the city. So while he moved away, his competitor decided to, stay back and see how exactly to go about this challenge. And he actually started facing the challenge and embracing the challenge. And as a result, what he was able to do is he was able to get the customers of the person who went away as well. So his business actually started to grow despite these challenges. So that is the sort of mindset that I'm referring to. So if you think it's fixed, and then these are challenges and I don't really want to go about looking through them, then you avoid the challenges, then you will have a fixed mindset. Whereas if you have a growth mindset, you're ready to embrace, you are there, you're taking the charge, and you are ready to play the game and be a go-getter. So what sort of mindset you have is something I'd like you to think through and act on it accordingly. So the second is, in a fixed mindset, when you have obstacles, you give up obstacles very easily. And you don't want to take any action. Oh, this is not permitting me to grow. This is not permitting me to do anything further. That's the sort of mindset you have. Whereas in the growth mindset, obviously, even if there are obstacles, and then, you're able to get over these setbacks and then emerge a winner. So a lot of it is in the mind on how you pursue and how you perceive things, right? So the third difference is on the effort. When you have a fixed mindset, you think like, whatever efforts we take, it's going to be fruitless. There's no point trying. So you don't even want to try many times. Whereas if you have the growth mindset, you are ready and you see the effort as a path to mastery. You want to achieve mastery. You want to be on the top, and you want to see how much you can really gain out of it, right? So that is one key difference. And then, of course, you have criticism. So when you get criticism, there are two ways to look at it. So when you're being criticized, you can always say, oh, this person doesn't know, he just wants to put me down, put my business down, and not giving me the right sort of feedback. I don't even want to hear this. And then you just ignore the feedback and think it is not in your best interest. But if it is in your best interest, you learn from the criticism. You need to grow out of it. And if somebody is pointing out to you, then you'll just have to see what best can you do to overcome that. Of course, not all criticisms are good. I would definitely acknowledge that as well. But you are wise enough. You know which one you want to retain and which one you want to let go. So considering that if the criticism is not good for you, you think it's not helping you in your progress, of course, it's the best to ignore it. And if it is in your best interest, then definitely think through how you can overcome it and take it as a good feedback for improvement and work on it. So that's how people pursue the criticism when they have a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. The last difference is the success. When you see your competitors, they are more successful than you, then you tend to feel jealous. You tend to feel threatened about it, right? When you have a fixed mindset. Whereas if you have a growth mindset, you feel inspired by them. You feel, okay, let me also you become one like them. Let me learn from it and thereby grow. So that is the key difference between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. So what sort of mindset do you have, and what is the mindset that you are adopting in your business is something I'd like you to think about. So having said that, you may be wondering, how can I actually develop the growth mindset? I want to be on the path of growth. So how can I exactly go and develop the growth mindset? So let me give you some pointers for this as well, because it's you and your business. And once you do well, your business will automatically do well, because a lot of it, I believe, is in how you're programming your mind. So to start off with the growth mindset, right? So the first thing is you have to listen, take a pause and just reflect. What exactly is your mind telling you, right? What is your mind voice, your inner voice? What exactly is it telling you? So is it telling you that, you're afraid of failure and you're backing away from a challenge, right? Is that the mindset that you have and you think that's an easier way out? What exactly are you doing there? Or is it that you're just making excuses and stories saying, oh no, now it's like very tough, this is not the best time for me to do anything, and you just want to take a back seat and run away with excuses? Or is it that you feel angry when you get constructive feedback? Oh, this person doesn't know what I'm going through, I'm finding it so challenging, this is not the way to do my business. You probably are having that sort of a mindset. So what exactly is going through in your mind? I would like you to take a pause and hear to what your mind voice is actually trying to tell you. So that is the first thing on listening to your mind voice. The second thing is for you to remember that you actually have a choice. You probably feel all this, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but if that be the case, remember that you have a choice, because it's up to you how you're interpreting these challenges and these setbacks, right? What are you telling yourself? What sort of stories are you building around it, right? So you would know the best. So if you actually think through on these lines, you'd probably be able to evolve better. So the third is, when you have this sort of a mindset, you recognize it, and then you want to outgrow it and adopt the growth mindset, you talk back to your mind voice with the growth mindset voice, right? So just to give you an example, so the fixed mindset will tell you, if you don't try, you can, it's safer, you actually protecting yourself and your dignity. But then the growth mindset will tell you, if I don't try, I automatically fail. I don't even know what is there in store. So let me just pause here and share my little experience here with you. I actually never had plans to become an author, right? It was never in my thought process at all. But what had happened, I had gone on a family vacation to Cambodia, and I had been to the killing fields in Phnom Penh, which is the capital of Cambodia. And you go there, from 1970 to 74, there was a mass genocide. And even now, when you go and walk in the killing fields, you will actually find pieces of bones and nail. Very barbaric, very cruel and gruesome stories, and when I heard that and saw these things, it did something to me. And unknowingly, I had weaved a story in my head. So I thought, why not write about it? But then again, at that point in this aspect, I had a fixed mindset, because I said, what will people say? What if they say the book is no good? And, it's better that I don't write. And I just pushed aside all the thoughts. But luckily, after about a year, I chanced upon a 100-day book authoring challenge. And somehow, since the story kept coming back to my head, I said, okay, let me give it a shot. And I wrote the book. It's called A Glance at the Unknown. And guess what? The book was very successful. And I, in fact, won an award that gave me 100 inspiring authors of India. Now, this was something I had never even thought of, never even dreamt about. So, if I had decided to say that, I'm not even going to try this and I don't even want to do it, I have automatically failed. So the key is at least for you to try, because only if you try would you even know, what exactly you're capable, what is your business capable of. So this story is just for you to reflect for your business and see what you can actually be doing for your business, so that you never know what your business is actually capable of, and what sort of offerings you'll be able to give to your customer. So the thing is, just go ahead and try. It's all right if you fail, but what if you succeed, right? So think through on those lines. Again, on fixed mindset, people say, oh, it's not my fault, it's someone else's fault, or they don't want to take the responsibility. Whereas in the growth mindset, people acknowledge, they say that yes, it is my responsibility and I can fix it, and let me listen to what it is saying and let me learn out of it so that I can grow further, right? So that is how you look at a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So to continue again, so what sort of actions that you need to take to adopt the growth mindset, right? For you to take action, now that you've thought and reflected and arrived at few things in your head, now how exactly are you going to take action, right? So how you need to go about it is you have to take on the challenge wholeheartedly, saying yes, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to achieve my very best. And you might have had setbacks or failures in the past, and what is it that you're learning out of it, right? So that is something, again, you need to think through and acknowledge and embrace imperfections. See, we are all not here to be 100% perfect, right? Each of us have our own set of imperfections in many different things. It's all right to be with it, but as long as we are getting the end result that is worthwhile, then you should just go for it and turn a blind eye to your imperfections. And of course, you need to view challenges as an opportunity. What sort of opportunities are there? And you need to view these challenges and see how you can overcome them in order to be successful. And thereafter you make a plan, right? How do you go about the plan? When, where, how am I going to go about this? What sort of this setback that I have, and I need to kind of reset and reboot my business, and then see how I need to go about. So that is what is important in having a growth mindset. So I hope you got the difference between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. So I would recommend that you wear the growth mindset hat and then look at your business with a new and fresh perspective, to see what really it can offer for you and how you can grow it further despite whatever challenges, despite whatever criteria are there for you. So this is something I'd like you to think through about. So once now that we have covered this, let's move on, and we will look at the next aspect, which is, no, okay, even before that, I have some food for thought for you. I'd like you to kind of reflect on these and see how and what you can do during these times, right? So what are the opportunities for learning and growing, right? So if you take a moment's pause and reflect on it, where are the things lying? Where do you have untapped potential of your business, and how can you actually maximize them? So just think about that. And also, I'd like you to think to say, how are you going to get better in developing your growth mindset? Probably you already have a growth mindset, I don't know. And if you do have a growth mindset already, how can you get it better? How can you always stay positive, look at things, because this too shall pass, right? So how is it that you're maintaining? Because mentally you need to be really up to it, and only then you'll be able to grow. So how exactly are you developing this sort of growth mindset? If you're in fixed mindset, of course you need to shift to the growth mindset. And if you're already in the growth mindset, then what you need to do is, how is it you're developing even further, is what I'd like you to think about. And of course, you are the leader for your business. So how can you nurture your team for the growth mindset? Because it's not sufficient only if you have the growth mindset. It's very important for your team also to have the growth mindset, right? So how are you nurturing them as well? And because, they say, it flows from the top. So once you remain strong and positive and have a growth mindset, then your team is automatically going to pick up the growth mindset as well. So think about that. So this is what I wanted to share with you about the growth mindset. And if you have any questions about the fixed mindset or the growth mindset, do type it out in the chat and I'll be happy to share whatever I know with you, right? Good. So now let's move on to the next aspect, which is building teams, right? Why is it even important to have teams? Whether crisis or no crisis, for you and your business to be a winner, it's very important to have your teams. It's simply important because together you achieve more, right? As a team, you're able to do a lot more than you can single-handedly. So to give you examples, take any of the group sport activities, right? It can't be won just with one person. Everybody has to pitch in a little. Even if you take cricket, probably it's just one person, one batsman who's scoring a century. But then there are those little runs that come from the other players as well. So similarly, in your business, probably you or just certain division or department is the one that's contributing the most. But that apart, remember that there are many other functions to the business, right? It could be support functions, or it could be an administrative function, whatever it is, but they are all also supporting and contributing to the success and the win of your business. So look at it like a sport, look at it like a game, that would interest you. So how is it that together as a business, all the divisions together, all your important people, your senior management, all of you together, how is it that you're making it create a win for your business, right? So not just that, because by doing that, you're actually tapping on the collective wisdom. It's not just your thoughts about your business, but then once you look at the collective wisdom from everybody else, then it becomes more impactful and more meaningful, because a collective wisdom is always more, it has more weightage than a single person's. You might mind, but then when you get more ideas from more people, then that's what makes it stronger and makes you come out of such situations. So how are you tapping into the collective wisdom? And then of course, by involving your team, you're actually making them responsible and accountable as well, right? So it's important to harness them together. So see how you're exactly involving your team so that they also feel part of the business. They feel part of this game, and they are also putting in their very best to see how they can contribute and grow the business. And then of course, together as a team, you brainstorm, you look for new ideas and see how, which is the best way to come out of it. I would like to again pause here and share a little story with you. This is something that I read somewhere. uh, Very interesting. So there was this person who had a small business, and he had a fairly large team of 15 to 20 people, considering that it was a small business. And of course, the business was also hit by the current crisis. So he didn't have sufficient money. He hadn't built cash reserves, and he didn't know how exactly to be handling the situation at this point in time. So what he did is, he called all the team members, and then he said, listen, our business is being affected. This is the amount of cash that we have. We probably have a cash runway for the next 3 to 4 months. But if there is no business that's trickling in, and since our industry is also affected, what best do you think can be done? Now, when he put across this question to his own team members, they had different ideas that sprung up. And not just that, they even voluntarily, the team themselves, they said, no, we will all take only a 50% salary, because we know times are bad, times are challenging for the business as well. So we will take, they volunteered to have a salary cut. And they said, when the business picks up, we will be getting it back as a bonus, and when things are more hunky-dory. So this was not something, imposed by the business owner, but it was something that was suggested by the team. And that's why it makes it more important to involve your team, get their ideas, make them feel part of the business, and see how you can overcome this together. And of course, by doing that, you're actually leveraging, each person have their own strengths. And if you're able to tap in and leverage onto each person's strength, then the best is going to come out. Let's say one person in your team is good at digital marketing, for example, so he can always go ahead and leverage on his strength of digital marketing and creating the necessary awareness of your business. It's just an example, but like that, each person is bestowed with different sort of talents and different things. So how exactly are you leveraging that as your team member and growing your business is a thought I'd like you to think through and mull over. So that is it about the building the teams aspect. So then now let's move on to the next aspect, which is churning the business wheel, right? A business, like, comprises of many different aspects, right? So if you were to kind of pay attention as a business owner to the different aspects of the business, then probably something could evolve. The key is, with the growth mindset, along with your teams, if you start deep diving into your own business, then things will start to emerge. So that is the idea with which I wanted to share with you on the churning the business wheel. So let me again take a pause here and share with you. Now, this is a common challenge that most businesses face, like you're already aware. So some of my clients had come and asked me what can be done. And so this is actually a kind of outcome of that, is where I had advised them, of course, it is specific and subject to each business, but this is a summary and it'll give you an overall idea on what you can do for your business. And of course, if you need any further assistance, individually subjective to your business, I'm more than happy to, work with you and help you through this crisis. So see what you can do in your business wheel. Now, like we know, I'd say the business wheel comprises of 8 major spokes. Okay? Any business, by and large, if I were to cover it. So what are the 8? Of course, the first thing is finance. Being a finance professional, I would always, give more importance to finance. And not just that, finance is the backbone of any industry, any business that you're doing, right? So why does your business exist? It exists to make money. So you need to pay a lot of attention to the finance. Now, we would be deep diving into each of these, but let me first tell you what the 8 spokes of the business wheel are. So first is the finance. Second, of course, are your suppliers, because your suppliers and vendors, because a lot of your business runs through them, right? So you need to pay attention to your suppliers and vendors as well. And of course, the people, I say the people are very important. They are the actual real assets of any business, if you ask me, because they are the ones who make your business. I had been on a holiday to Scotland, Glasgow, and then there were these huge posters all around the city which said, "People make Glasgow." And I thought it was so true, because be it an organization or a business, the people are the ones who actually make it. They are the face of your business, right? So people are very important, which is nothing but your human resources. In fact, I'd like to call them as human capital. The fourth, of course, are your customers, right? Because your business is there to serve your customers, and without the customers, your business is nothing. So customers are important. And then is marketing, right? How well are you marketing, and how well are you attracting customers to your business? And then you need to have strategy in place, right? Only then your business can really grow and develop. So what sort of strategy do you have in place? And then the operations, your business operations, it could be services or product, whatever you are, how exactly are you managing the operations of the business? And last but not the least is technology. We're living in the technological era. So how are you managing with the technology? So these are the main 8 aspects of a business wheel, the spokes of a business wheel. And let's deep dive into each of them individually and see what can be learned from these. Not just learned, actually, what can you do as a business owner in each of these spokes, so that your business potential can be maximized, right? So ready? Let's get started. Finance, as I said, let's start with finance, the money, the moolah, and what your business can actually do on the money aspect, right? So first, get to know your current liquidity state, right? What is your cash runway? How long can your business actually manage and run without run with your existing cash, right? So get to know your liquidity position first, because what I noticed is a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, they were not really sure how much money is in hand and how long they can last and how they're going to go about, these challenging times. So first, get to know your liquidity, right? how much money you have and you can how long it can take you through this current crisis. So get to know the liquidity, and then you need to know what your working capital requirement is, right? So for your business to prolong, how much of money do you need, let's say in the next 3 months or 6 months, whatever. So do some basic calculations, understand what your requirements are, what are your business's requirements. So you know the liquidity, and then say, okay, this is the amount of cash that my business requires in the short term period. So get to know that first, and without knowing this, there's no point in just starting to panic. Get to know this, and then see what sort of remedial actions you need to take. Say, let's say your requirement is, I'm just giving a number, let's say it's just 100, and you have a liquidity of 80. So let's say you're running short of 20 more for the short term. And what sort of actions can you take now, right? How can you actually ensure that you're able to even break even with regard to your working capital? So these are things that you need to work through. So maybe it calls for, like, whatever cost cutting measures, or negotiating better terms and conditions with your suppliers, with your bankers, and so on. But the thing is, get to know this first, and then start taking necessary actions on it. And then, what sort of financial decisions are you making? Many times I've noticed that entrepreneurs tend to make a lot of uh, financial decisions that are coming out from their emotions. While we are human and we are dominated by emotions, you also need to look at it from a business perspective. Think more radical, more rational, and think from a finance perspective. What sort of impact will any decision that you make as a business owner, what sort of impact will it have on the business finance, right? So that is very important. So how are you making, what sort of financial decisions are you making? And then is compliance. You might as well comply to all the rules and regulations, because you don't want to be ending up paying penalties and interest, and waste your money in those places. So you might as well ensure you're complying to all necessary rules and regulations that your business needs to face. And you can also ask, get in touch with consultants or experts in those areas, tax consultants, whoever, and then ensure you're always compliant with the rules and regulations, because the cost of non-compliance is very high. Okay, so you ensure on the compliance. And then I would encourage you to prepare cash forecasts. What is the business looking like in the next, say, 3 months or 6 months, whatever, because you need to have that visibility so that you can plan your cash outflow. See, the cash inflow is never under your control. What is under your control is only your cash outflow. So how are you controlling? Plan it up. What if the customer pays you something, well and good, but if the customer is going to be delayed in his payment, then how is your business being impacted, right? So you need to take a call of all this. You need to look at the pros and cons, and then see how much of cash that you have, so that you can plan the business activities according to that. So that becomes important. So these are the main aspects of finance, right? So look through it in a holistic manner, in all aspects of finance, and how your business can manage. It's two things. One is, of course, you have, from a finance perspective, you'll have to manage the cash, and of course you'll also have to manage the profits. So how are you managing between the two? Probably, even if you're not making high margins, or you're not having a huge surplus of cash, ensure that you're breaking even, both in terms of cash as well as in terms of profit. So at least get to that stage, and of course anything over and above that will be awesome. So that's something I'd like you to think through. And then let's talk about the people, or the human asset. That's what I call them. So what can you do to your teams, to your people? Because the people are the ones who are actually supporting your business. They are the biggest pillars of your business, if you ask me. So you should also realize your employees are also morally affected. So as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, as a business head, what can you actually do to engage them in a meaningful manner, right? Because you're probably like working from home, especially if you're in the services industry and all that. So people are already, mentally kind of feeling this difference, and since it's been there for a longer period as well. How are you engaging them meaningfully, right? Because when their mind is occupied and being more productive, then the focus of the team is in doing more, rather than thinking of these negative factors. So it is very essential that you engage with them meaningfully, so they feel part of the team, they feel they are contributing to the business. So engage with your teams meaningfully, and then communicate. During this crisis, you probably have heard it in other places as well. It's important to communicate, communicate, communicate. Be in touch with your teams, keep them updated of the progress, little thing, anything about the business. And of course, you can even go beyond. If you have good rapport, it will be good to check a little more on their progress, their welfare, their well-being, and everything. So important aspect is to keep in touch and communicate every aspect of the business to them. Of course, not all the confidential details, but whatever each person is entitled to at whichever level they are, it's important to keep communicating with your team and keep them all together. So communicate. Coach them. Either you coach them, or you can get professional coaches like me to talk to them and address them, so that they feel like, okay, this is fine. They feel more confident, motivated to do. And this coaching need not necessarily be from a business perspective, or on a domain perspective. You could even encourage your teams to do things like yoga, Zumba, or whatever else that kind of charges them up. It energizes them during these times, and that could be something they are actually look forward to. So I know a few businesses where they actually have scheduled regular sessions of yoga, one in the morning, one in the evening. And then I also know Art of Living is into doing this yoga and meditation as well for corporates and for businesses. So get hold of something like this and ensure that you're giving a lot more to your employees, right? So either you coach them, get coaches like me to work with them, or get things like yoga, Zumba, or anything else to kind of keep them motivated and encouraged during these times. And even the domain specific trainings, if you can offer them, that will also be great. But it's very important to display compassion during these times. People have different challenges, especially when they're working from home. It's difficult. It's not easy to manage both the home stuff and the work, and this is of course something very different. So as a business head, as an entrepreneur, you need to show a lot more compassion, and you need to build that trust. You need to trust your teams, because I also read somewhere that some of these organizations are doing something totally against. They want the employees to work with their webcam on, just to check if they're actually working. Now, things like this, you actually lose the trust of your employees, and nobody would like somebody breathing behind their back, right? As long as they're delivering whatever they're supposed to deliver to you, I think you should just learn to be a lot more flexible with your teams and build trust. End of the day, humans work with relationships, based on relationships. So what sort of a relation do you have with your team, right? So encourage and build trust and display compassion when required. I also got to know that some organizations are hiring new hires, which is good. I mean, if your business can sustain that, go ahead and do it. But instead of letting go of some of the existing employees because of lack of cash and or a furlough and other things, just think if it's really the right time to get new people or not. So it may be a good thing. I mean, it depends on your business and your call end of the day, but you may want to just wait for the situation to get a little better and then hire. But this is just a food for thought for you. And the kind of organization culture, because with the right team in place, you're actually building an excellent organization culture. So what sort of organization culture are you building together with your teams? That is also important, because like things like when you display trust and everything, compassion and empathy to your employees, then the culture also becomes like that, because as I said, it's going to drill down. So when you show that to your one downs, they are going to be doing the same to their one downs, right? And thereby the entire organization culture is like people feel that they belong to it, and then they're ready to do whatever it takes to keep the organization culture intact. And that is excellent for your business as well, because your business is relying on your people. So think about what is it that you're doing for your people and your teams. Next, let's move on to the suppliers, right? So you have your suppliers and vendors. Of course, if you're into manufacturing, you'll be relying a lot on your suppliers. And if your services, it's probably more of vendors, right? So how exactly are you managing with them during this time? Let's look at that. What sort of rapport? Like I said, it's all depends on what sort of relationship that you have, right? So what sort of relationship do you have with your vendors? Because if you have good relationships, they will also, uh, support you all the little more that they can, right? So what sort of rapport that you have? What sort do you have an aging analysis? Especially if you're pressed for cash, are you uh, negotiating for better terms and conditions with your suppliers, right? So if you have a good rapport, then obviously they're also going to be a lot more cooperative and see how much they can also support you in your venture. And by preparing an age analysis of your supplier, you can actually plan which supplier or which vendor that you need to pay at each point in time, right? So I think that is something that you can look through, is the aging. And then you can see how you're negotiating, right? What sort of negotiations that you're doing, how is it that you're making a win-win for you and for your supplier, and probably get attractive terms and conditions in around. So that's something you can negotiate on. And then you can always get comparative quotes. Probably you're used to a particular vendor for a very long time, which is fine, but maybe there's somebody else, who's offering better terms and conditions and, better rates considering the current crisis. So look at that. You can always widen your supplier. Sorry, I lost connection.
Sangeeta ji.
I'm sorry, I lost the connection, and here I am again, and I'm just restarting from where we left. Yes. So I was telling you about the customers, right? So no, I think I'm just getting started. One moment. So sorry about this. Yes. So let's get restarted. I'm so sorry about this. So the customers. So what can you actually do for your customers, right? Because your customer is who's getting you all the money. So what can you actually do for your customers? And customer may be the king, but he's the one who's actually giving you the bread and butter during these times. So what can be done with the customer? First, I think you can also see how you can help your customers, because your customers also going through these challenges and the crisis just like you. So how can you actually go about and help your customers? So that's something I'd like you to think through, and that's how you actually building relation and building rapport with your customers. So think about how you can actually go and help your customers. By doing a good job and by helping your customer, and going out of your way to help your customer, you can also ask your customer to give you referrals. So your customer can actually refer you to new clients for yourself. So that'll be the best way, because you don't even have to market your services. So you can always ask for referrals. So what sort of rapport that you have with your customers, and then you can see how you can actually leverage on it and get more referrals for your business. You could also try cross-selling. Now, if you're dealing with multiple products or multiple services, or both products and services, you could probably explore the possibilities of cross-selling each of these with your customers. So see what is the best way to cross-sell. And then give them attractive offers, like you're pressed for business, they also probably are. So if you're actually giving them like attractive business offers, so that will then want them to buy from you, right? So make it attractive for them, and remember, it has to be a win-win both for you as well as for your customers, right? So how are you actually creating a win-win strategy is something you need to think through. And then if your money is outstanding with your customer, right, it's the best thing, ensure that you follow up with them, right? Follow up constantly, continuously, and so that whenever they have that extra cash, it is you who comes to the mind, and therefore they are ready to pay you and settle your dues. And always, cash is king, cash is oxygen is what I would say. So you always have sufficient cash, so ensure that you follow up constantly with your customers. And if your customers also pressed for cash, what you could do is you could offer them to pay you in tranches. Maybe you can say, pay me 50% of the dues right now, and then another 30% next month, and then the 20% balance, something like that. Come up with something creative, so that, as I said, you have to create a win-win for both you as well as your customer. So think about how you can set this up. So that's with regard to your customers. And then marketing. Many businesses, some I have noticed, they don't like to market. But now we are in times where marketing is essential, right? Because tell me, how will your customer even know that you exist? How do they know that your business is there, and they can actually get services from you, or buy the products of yours? So it is important to create awareness. So look at marketing as creating awareness, brand building about you and your business. So look at it from a marketing perspective as well. So when you look at marketing, what is your marketing strategy? Do you want to be bullish on your marketing, or do you want to be bearish on your marketing? Again, you'll also have to take into account, considering the current situation, which is the best way to go about your marketing. How is the best way to reach your customers? So think about that. What is the cost of customer acquisition, right? You need to know that as well, because there's no point in you going overboard and spending, especially in the digital marketing and stuff like that. And you need to know how much you're spending, and what is the kind of returns that you're getting, and how much is the cost of your acquiring a customer for you. And thereafter, set limits, right? What I mean by set limits is set limits for marketing. Like, it shouldn't be that you're going overboard on your marketing. You must know how much you have, and you don't go beyond a certain amount, because are you even getting the sufficient returns from spending on marketing, right? So set limits and ensure that you don't go overboard, and at the same time, keep a watch on how much customers you're getting by running your marketing campaigns. Define your target audience. Now, whom exactly are you going to be selling for? Who are you catering? Like, it shouldn't be like, it's to one and all. So if you're able to create your niche and target this specific audience group that you want for your business, your marketing results could get a lot more fruitful. So think about who your target audience are, and whatever money that you make, and if the marketing, whatever marketing that you're doing, digital ads, whatever, if it's working well and you're generating a lot more revenue and money for you, it may be good for you to kind of reinvest them back into your marketing business, marketing for your business. So think on how you can reinvest, and think on these lines. Is it really yielding you the results that you want? So then let's look at strategy, right? What sort of strategy do you have in place for your business, right? However big or small business may be, even if you're a solopreneur, you need to have a strategy in place, right? So first, define your strategy. What is my way forward? What is it that I'm going to be doing, and stuff like that about my business? So put pen and paper together is what I would recommend, and that will also enable you to come up with a business plan. It's important to have a business plan, because otherwise you're like a headless chicken going around everywhere. So write a business plan, firstly for yourself, and of course, if you're looking for investors, or going to the bankers for a loan and everything, everybody will ask you for a business plan. So have a nice business plan in place, so that you know how you're headed and what you need to be doing. It's like a blueprint for your business, right? So, and only you can create it, because if you are the owner, you are the one who would know it. And of course, you can take inputs from others as well, but the onus is on you. And then set common goals, common goals for yourself, for your teams, for your individual teams, as in, your departments, like everybody, give them the common goals so that everybody is together, everybody is moving in the same direction. It's not like, if each one goes in different directions, then it doesn't make sense. So ensure that there are common goals and everybody together as a team is working on achieving the common goals. See if you can collaborate. When I say collaboration, not necessarily just within your organization. Look for collaboration even with your competitors. You're probably wondering what I mean by competitors. Now look, some years back, look at these banks, right? What did they do? Look at the ATM. Originally you could draw money only, a particular ATM, right? If you had a particular bank's card, you could draw money only from that ATM. But now what have they done? You can actually, any bank's ATM is actually can work in another bank's as well. What have they done? They just collaborated together. So see if you can collaborate even with your competitors, maybe, or your peers or your friends. Like, you can probably look at sharing office space or sharing part-time resources or things like that. So see how you can collaborate, because by collaborating, you're creating a win-win, and you're also saving some money for your business, right? So look at means of collaborations. See if you can integrate your business. It could be, if your business is having a lot of cash, you may want to see if you can get into forward integration or backward integration, whatever, so that you are under control and you actually save some money by doing that, right, in the long run. So see what works for you. So these are just ideas that I'm throwing out to you. See what you can do, and most importantly, see how you're actually mitigating risks. Every anything in life, there is always a lot of risk, but how are you mitigating the risk? And as a business person, you have to take risk, because taking no risk is the biggest risk. So ensure you're taking the right kind of risk, and how you actually mitigating whatever risks are involved. As I said, this is a VUCARD world, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, risky, and disruptive, right? So it's important for you to mitigate your risk. Get to know what's happening in your industry. Be updated, talk to your industry peers, whatever. Know the latest industry trends and what is happening around your industry, and build your strategy around it. That is also going to help you. And very important, define KPIs. KPI is nothing but your key performance indicators. So set the KPIs for your business, like be it for each department, each department head, whatever, have something that's measurable, right? What is the outcome that you want? So what sort of strategy will actually help you to get to that? So please define the KPIs so that everybody is together on the same page. And as I said, everybody is working to that particular goal that you've set for the business. So your strategy will be good, if you're able to cover all these aspects of strategy. From strategy, let's move on to operations, right? So what sort of operations, irrespective of what sort of operations that you're doing, you need to ensure the operations are happening and happening smoothly and successfully, because that's when your business is going to keep going successfully. So look at your business efficiencies. How efficiently are you utilizing resources? When I say resources, it's not just human, but it can be your capital resources, your space, and whatever that you have. How efficient is it? What is the kind of returns that you're getting by investing in each of these? So look at the efficiency levels, the productivity, and everything of the business. What sort of policies and procedures do you have in place? Because look at it from the internal controls perspective, or any regulatory requirement, you need to define your policies and procedures and say, this is what the organization stands for, this is what the values that are in place, and stuff like that. So it's essential for you to define policies and procedures so that there are no gray areas around. So define these in place, especially with regard to the business, like who has to approve any particular investment or an expense, whatever it is. Have them all set in place, and that is what will ensure a smooth flow of the operations, so that even in your absence, the business is actually going smooth. How effectively are you utilizing, as I said, your resources? How effectively are you utilizing them? What is the productivity levels? It could be of your machinery, of your teams, whatever. Have a check on it so that you can see what can be done. If there are delays, investigate on the delays, because remember, delays will actually cost you money, right? So what sort of delays that are happening is something you may want to look at. Ideate. think out of the box, think for newer ideas, think for what is it that you can do differently in your business so that you're able to generate more out of your business, right? So important to think through. And then do you have a BCP, which is your business continuity plan, your DRP, which is your disaster recovery plan? It's good to have all this in place so that any sort of emergencies and everything, how the business can cope. So define these things. Then let's look at the last spike, which is technology. So now, as I said, we are in the technological era, and how are you leveraging on technology, right? So everything is now moving online. So how can you move your business online? What is the scope there? What can be done? So think about that. I know of a business that was in the travel industry, part of the travel industry, and like we know, the travel industry is actually hit right now, and we don't know how long it's going to take for it to recover. So what they did, they pivoted on to digital. So they are now running a digital agency as well. So see how you can play around, because everything is happening online right now. Look at cost effective options. The good thing about technology is it's very cost effective, but cost effective in the long run, right? So you may want to weigh those options to see how you can make it a cost effective option for your business. How can you actually leverage on technology and grow your business, right? Because through technology your reach is much wider. I would say the globe has actually shrunk because of technology. So how is it that you can leverage on technology for your business and do more? That's something you need to check on. And then what can you do virtually, right? Like how I'm talking to you in a virtual manner, what is it that you can do virtually, right? So see if you can reach out to your customers virtually during these times. And I would also urge you to look at business analytics, of the past, of your industry, to see what is this analytics actually telling you. It's probably there's some sort of growth curves, or like the ways and means of how they got over crisis and stuff like that. So look at the business analytics, and maybe there's something hidden out there which you as a domain expert would know what is the best. So I would also urge you to look through your business analytics. Yes. So apart from this, I would also like to give some generic tips with regard to your business. As I said, display empathy, be it with your employees, your customers, your suppliers, your stakeholders, whoever, because these are challenging times for everybody. So it's best that the human aspect in you is coming out. So therefore, please display empathy. Relationships are what is very important. You're building your business based on the relationship. So as I said, trust is a key factor, and end of the day, because of the relationship is when your business is actually going to sustain and grow better. So build the right kind of relationships. Seek professional help. If things are not going right for you, please reach out to the domain experts or like coaches. Get professional help so that you're able to tide over and cross this crisis and emerge successfully. So reach out for professional help in whichever area you think is required for your business. Reinvent yourself. This is the best time to reinvent and see what can be done better for your business, what can be done newer for your business, right? So utilize this time for reinventing. And like I said, it's important to adopt the right mindset, because we already covered this. The growth mindset is important, and looking at things in a positive, in good manner, so that you're able to have the right sort of a mindset. And set goals, right? Short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals for your business. And that will give you a path ahead, like, to say, okay, I need to do A, B, C, D, whatever for my business. And then this will help me to move forward, grow more and whatever. So set the right kind of goals. So now let's look at the last aspect of our talk, which is designing, right? Designing your actions. So what sort of an action plan? So now that you've heard me for the last, I don't know, maybe like 45 minutes or so, uh, probably you have multiple ideas brewing in your head, right? So what I would suggest is I'm going to give you a little useful and very important tool that will help you to design your action and your path ahead. So what you actually need to do is, it's called a goal matrix, right? So identify 3 areas in your business, the top 3 areas in your business that you want to do. And under each of them, identify 3 steps. Now, as I said, you're the domain expert, you know the business like nobody else does. And therefore come up with top 3 actions under each of these areas, right? So that you know what sort of steps you will be taking for each of them. So let me share a sample goal matrix here for you. This is, you can build something on similar lines for your business, right? So here it is. So if you want high performance, let's say in your business you want the areas you've identified are sales, finance, and the people. So set yourself a target and a date. So in sales, let's say it is lack of revenue, so therefore you want to increase your revenue. So you want to achieve a certain amount of sale before the end of a particular date. So what are the three actions that you want to take? Let's say you want to increase online sales, you want to get into digital marketing, referrals, and SEOs. And third is probably reinvent your product and services. So like this, you need to customize and come up for each area so that you're working towards them. And it's not just you can also share it with your team so that your teams are also aligned to this, and they are also working in the same way. So prepare. This is just a sample that I've shared with you, but I hope you get the idea wherein you're stating it. It's a simple matrix that every time you look at it, you know what actions you need to take, and it drives you and propels you in that path. So that is the goal matrix which I would like you to think about. So by doing all this, the ABCD that we thought of, we spoke about all along. So what sort of outcomes will you actually be getting? You'll become more prepared for tackling these challenges, right? So there are challenges, and you're actually at this point in time looking to tide over and maximize the potential of your business by tackling these challenges in a successful manner. So you become more prepared to tackle these challenges. You're actually planning the next steps. What more can be done? How can you actually go the extra mile and plan the steps and do what is required? And most importantly, you're looking at it from a solution approach, right? So what sort of solutions are you looking for your business? Yes, there are different things, there are different challenges that are there, but you now start thinking on the solution. If you were to be focusing only on the problems, it may not really get you anywhere. But if you start thinking of solutions, that's when you'll be able to move ahead, right? So adopt the solutioning approach. So okay, yes, this is my challenge. What sort of solutions? How can I actually get over this? Is something that you need to think through. So look at the outcomes that you want. So since you guys have been a great audience and been really good, so I thought of giving you a little giveaway. Okay, so this book is actually an audio book. It's a free download on Audible, and it's called The Power of High Performance Coaching. It's about 30 minutes. So just go to Audible Suno app, and then you can search for my name, Sangeeta Sumesh, and then this will throw up, and then you can just listen to it. It's a free book, so do hear it and share your feedback with me. And then my first book, what I told you, The Glance at the Unknown, that's a free download on Kindle Unlimited. So do read that and let me know. And of course, my bestseller, which is What the Finance. So you can always read through that. It's a national bestseller, and a lot of people have told me that they read it and they have been benefited, because what I've done is I've given them practical challenges the business has and a solution. So it's a ready-made guide. It's not the textbooky kind. And yes, it also has some interesting stories of successful entrepreneurs on their financial journey. So you could also learn a lot from them. So this is something that you could do. And yes, I also have my YouTube channel where I keep sharing finance mantras, short videos on different things, where I am educating entrepreneurs on different things that they can do. So do subscribe. The channel is called Sang Shah Sum, which is an abbreviation of my name, which is Sangeeta Shankran Sumesh. So yeah, please feel free to subscribe to it and listen to this. I normally keep posting videos on a weekly basis, so check that out. And yeah, so if you want any individual or group coaching sessions for your business requirements or anything, these are my coordinates. I'm happy to work with you on specific areas of your choice. So this was just to give you an idea and set a blueprint. So I'm the gain enabler, so I'm ready to work on your gains, financial gains, non-financial gains, whatever. So anything, do feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to work with you, right? So I think with that, I have come to the end of my presentation. And yeah, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you. You could please type it out in the chat box, and I'm happy to answer them. Deepak, probably if there are any questions, you could read them out, and I'd be happy to take them. Yeah, I see. Okay, no. Yeah, any questions? All right. If there are no questions, probably we can end this session, and maybe people can reach out to me if they have any specific questions.
Sangeeta ji, can you hear me?
Deepak, is it okay then if we close the session?
Thank you, ma'am. That was indeed an insightful session. The session was really, really awesome. I'm sure the participants enjoyed it as well. On behalf of Excel in Excel, I thank you for sharing your
Yeah,
wisdom.
okay. I see one question in the chat box that says many organizations are facing the loss situation for the first time after a good period. How to face it? Yes, definitely, yes. It is a loss situation. It is something new, especially for your business. But as I said, this is what the entire talk was based on, like to see firstly how you're adopting the growth mindset and how together with your teams you can tide over. Yes, it is a loss, but how are you going to tide over? That's what is more important. So that's why we spoke about churning the business wheel and what sort of actions you can take to overcome it. So maybe you joined somewhere in between. So it'll be good if you can actually go through the talk from the beginning, because the talk talks about all these things. Yes. So somebody else is saying, can you tell about VUCA? Yeah. VUCA is, yes, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That is how it has been. It's actually an term that has come from the US Army. So that's where it originally started, and then all the corporates and the business have actually started adopting it, because the fact is, in business as well, there is so much of volatility. Look at your foreign exchange. It is volatile, uncertain. This is the the best example for uncertain times. And of course, complex. Look at the complex laws that are there. There's a lot of ambiguity, right? Like even in the current scenario, you don't really know which drugs actually will work to give you the immunity and help you tide over in case you are positive. So this is the current scenario. But in your business, you'll have to see, like I would say, what sort of vision do you have? Like how are you actually tiding over? What sort of understanding do you have of your customers, right? And what sort of clarity do you have in thoughts? And how you actually prepared to get over this. So as I said, you'll have to come together with the team. You'll have to strategize on it. You'll have to put your brains together. So there's no fixed solution to it, because it depends on what your business is about and your industry is about. But you'll have to think through on those lines, put together. As I said, the collective brains is a lot more better than your single brain. So you'll have to see, and you'll have to start being innovative. You'll have to reinvent yourself to tide over this. So I think that should be the way forward. There's no one-stop solution for this, but you will just have to think on how you can actually get over this thing, right? So that is what it is. So connecting with stakeholders is difficult during these times, especially for companies not technically sound. Yes, definitely. Connecting with stakeholders is not easy, and they may, obviously look at it and tell you that business is not performing well, which is right from their perspective. But if you're able to go back and tell them, yes, you're right, the business is not able to perform right now because of ABCD reasons. However, I'm planning to get over these ABCD reasons by doing action 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will help me. Now if you're sounding positive and able to come out with actions to tide over the crisis, I'm sure they will understand as well. And it's not that they are also expecting the same levels of profit as before, because everybody is aware this is a global crisis, right? So they will also definitely acknowledge this fact. But what is key is, what actions are you taking, right, as a business? Now if you were to tell them about the actions that you're taking and how you're going to tide over the crisis, I think that makes a difference, right? Instead of just saying, oh no, business is not doing well and I don't know what to do. Now that is going to put off anybody. Even if you are probably the stakeholder or an investor in a business and somebody tells you that, you're not going to be thrilled about it. Whereas if you say, yes, acknowledge that your business is being hit by the crisis, but you're planning to take some actions around it, and this is how you're planning to tide over the crisis. Now that sounds a lot more positive. So that's what you need to tell your stakeholders about. Excellent session. Thank you very much, Gopi. Right. Yep. So any other questions? Right. So looks like that's about it. And sorry, I've taken a little longer than I thought. I didn't realize the time because I just kept speaking and I didn't realize we are a little past the time. But yes, I hope everybody enjoyed it, benefited out of it. And anything, please feel free to reach out to me. You know my coordinates, and I'm active on all social media, on LinkedIn and everything. So all the very best to everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am.
Sangeeta.
Thank you. On behalf of Excel and Excel, I thank you for sharing your wisdom, ma'am. I also thank the audience for their wonderful participation and support. Um, our next session is on 28th June on the topic Design Your Professional Services Business for Acceleration by CA Amit Kumar. The key takeaways of this session would be disempowering myths of professional services business, principles and strategies to design your professional services business, professional services business automation and acceleration blueprint. The next session is followed on 4th of July by CA Sandeep Kothari on the topic modeling a franchise business opportunity, followed by a session on 5th of July by CA Shweta Kochar on the topic managing business continuity and finance during uncertain times. Do not forget to like the video. For more updates, please subscribe to our channel. You can drop your suggestion in the chat section. Stay tuned for more fresh talks. Happy weekend and thank you everyone.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji.
Welcome. Bye.